welcome to Vibrational Revelations. My name is Elena.
My name is Alejandro.
Many of you have reached out to us asking to reveal the vibrational frequencies and levels of consciousness of Barron Trump. He's 18 years old, so we considered it quite carefully, since usually we do not reveal children, but 18 years old, he's considered an adult. So we thought this will be a very interesting character persona to dive deep into and share this with all of you. For those of you that are brand new to our channel, welcome. And please make sure that you subscribe, you like, you comment. We always look forward to interacting with all of you. If you don't know what we do, we use Scalar Wave Technology, employing vibrational frequencies of awakening scale to tune into vibrational frequencies, levels of consciousness of different people, organizations, historical sites. We've read thousands of people from across the world, whether it's public figures or also personal vibrational frequency analysis for people all over. Now, we are currently running a special 65% off for Vibrational Revelations membership platform. So if you're interested, I'll post a link below. This way you can join. For all of our members, we give 25% off on all of the vibrational frequencies PDF, all our online digital courses. You get access to all the events that are happening prior to all the releases that go out to our regular email list. And currently, we have a special going on. We're taking people on an incredible Turkey experience. We're calling it Turkey Extravaganza, and that is happening October of this year. If this is something you're interested in exploring with like-minded group of people, you don't want to miss this incredible opportunity. We're going to go to Istanbul, all the historical sites, Cappadocia. If you have not been, this is such a magnetic, magical place. We're going to go visit underground cities, go into the caves, and then, of course, visit one of the most fascinating sites in the world, which is Göbekli Tepe. Make sure that you look out for that. We are going to close this event. We just released it today. We're closing that by the end of May. So you definitely don't want to miss it if this is something you're interested in doing. Anything else we should add before we start the revelation for Barron?
No, I think we're ready to
Yeah.
go.
You know, we've seen him as a child on screen, right? Just here and there appear with his mom and dad, Melania and Donald Trump. And lately, all of a sudden, he's spruced up. He's 6'7", tall and handsome, and everybody is commenting on how powerful his energy or his presence is. So we thought this is a great opportunity to dive into his vibrational frequency and share it with all of you.
Yes, and as always, we recommend to have an open mind and an open heart as well. That's always extremely helpful. So aside from politics,
Yes,
and any preconceived ideas or concepts, just see it from a higher perspective. And
excellent.
the intention is to understand how one perceives reality and what their perspective might be of what they perceive based on the filters that they activate when they process the information that they perceive.
Yes. And actually, vibrational frequencies and levels of consciousness have no political agendas. It just is, right? So we're tuning in to the deepest layer of someone's psyche, which is fascinating. And sometimes when we're talking about young people, well, young people don't really know where they stand, and majority of adults don't either. But as you gain more awareness and consciousness and you work on yourself, oftentimes we see people say, oh, that feels right to me. Once they receive their vibrational frequency analysis themselves, they'll say, oh, for example, this aligns with what I felt. Or perhaps if there were blind spots, they'll say, I had no idea that was my blind spot, but it also makes sense.
Yes, and now knowing exactly where resistance lies, within all the categories that we measure, we're about to reveal for Barron Trump, that brings awareness And if the person is willing or is wanting to have a greater experience or experience a greater feeling as to whatever it is they're currently experiencing, now they know where to begin. Now they know what needs to shift and how their inner dialogue needs to shift in order to experience a higher level of consciousness, experience more joy, more freedom.
Yes. All right, let's dive right in. So we're going to look into overall vibrational frequencies for Barron Trump and where he is today. So his overall vibrational frequency is 400. 400 is the frequency of discernment. So it has a very analytical frequency, analytical approach to how he views life in general at the moment. Now, his incarnation frequency was a frequency of 700, which is a frequency of illumination. And we oftentimes see, actually, it's a rare frequency to incarnate at. Majority of people incarnate on the average of a frequency of 250 for humanity. So this is quite unique. He comes, I will say, when someone incarnates at a frequency of 700, they come here with a huge mission. And he comes with this frequency of light, which is very much an embodiment of it. And of course, then life happens, right? He was born, and at his birth, his frequency dropped to vibration of 350, which is 350 is receptivity. So it went from 700 to 350. And you can see his frequency is rising now to 400 as he's growing and learning more about life, learning more about himself. Health he views through the lens of 400. Again, very analytical approach to how he views health overall. And then we break it down into three categories: connection to mind, connection to body, and connection to soul. So his connection to mind is 400, which is also quite unusual. That's, I would say, quite a high frequency for somebody who is at this young age of 18 years old. Connection to body is 200, which is the frequency of courage, heroism. So he's, I would say in his case, and probably most young people, he's getting comfortable in his own skin, how to, so to say, right? In his own physical body. He has to get used to this reality. And connection to soul, in Barron's case, is 500. So that's also quite high. I mean, we rarely see these numbers. If you go into our Vibrational Revelations membership, you'll see we have over 200 episodes there. So this is one of the most unusual frequencies as far as connection to soul. So he's quite connected, whether he knows it or not. Connection. So now we're looking into finances. How does he view finances? And for him, it's a frequency of eagerness, 310. So he's excited. So maybe having a dad who is a business person, gets him all excited about business and money and finances. So he's eager to learn and explore. Creativity, we always say creativity is something that is innate to all of us. All the children are creative. It's connecting to your inspiration, what inspires you the most, and taking action from that place. And in his case, it's a frequency of 500. So it's a frequency of flow state. So it shows that he actually is quite creative, where he's connected to his creativity without too much resistance. Relationships he views through the lens of 250, which is objectivity. So I would say he's an observer. Usually when I see the frequency of 250, I say that this is somebody who likes to take a step back and observe. A relationship to self is 250, and relationship to others is 250. So he probably feels comfortable, I will say, based on these frequencies, to kind of be an outside of the room and just watch people and make decisions from I would say a higher perspective of how he perceives.
Kind of like in a neutral mode, right? And it is very noticeable when you observe him as he stands, that you can perceive that easily.
Yeah.
Watch him. Right?
Yes. Philanthropy, the art of sharing and giving. In his case, it's 350. Service to self is 400, and service to others is 310. Personal growth, he views personal growth through the lens of 500, which is the state of flow. So he's someone, whether he's aware of it or not, but he's definitely, or I would say personal growth is very important to him, which is also quite interesting. Intuition. His intuition compared to majority of people that we have tested, which is thousands of people, it's a frequency of 700. So that's quite unusual, the frequency of illumination for intuition, because all of us have intuition flowing through us. It's a matter of what filter gets activated when that information comes through. And in his case, because we're looking at the chart from zero, or scale from 0 to 1,000, he doesn't have too much resistance. So it means that overall, he goes with the flow with his intuition. Now, under intuition, there is 4 different aspects: clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance. Clairaudience is 500. His clairsentience, it means this, when he feels it in his physical body, is 700. So I would say he's quite sensitive also. He feels it through all his senses. His clairvoyance is the ability to visualize, to see, to perceive. It's 800, also very high. And his claircognizance, his inner knowing, is 950, which is remarkable. So I wouldn't be surprised if Barron will be quite an important figure in the future. Of course, his father right now is the president of the United States, but I have a feeling that Barron is going to play a very powerful role when he's an adult or when he's older. With those numbers, for sure, we'll have to see what happens.
What he decides to do.
Yes, what he decides. Whatever he will do, I'm sure he'll be great at it.
Mm-hmm.
IQ. So remember that in previous episodes, we've revealed the average IQ for the human collective is 175. In his case, it's 400. That's quite high. Usually we see scientists, like brilliant scientists, have this vibrational frequency. And I think we read somewhere recently that the actual IQ number that he has is...
It's 170 plus, I believe.
And what was Einstein's?
I don't remember.
But quite high. Okay, so he's quite an intellectual. His EQ, emotional intelligence, which we always say is far more important than the intellectual one, and it's 700. So he has this illuminating relationship with his emotional intelligence. Social quotient. So how we'll say at higher frequencies, it's linked to the level of magnetism. And in his case, this is why some people are so drawn to him on the screen and perhaps in the audience. He has an SQ of 950, and 950 is quite powerful. I mean, we rarely see these numbers for SQ, as we've mentioned
especially
before.
at his age.
Especially, so it means he's born to do something spectacular, to lead people. So this is going to be exciting to see of what happens with his life and where it's going to take him. AQ, adversity quotient. And oftentimes we say for most people that we've tested, it's usually between 50 and 100. We rarely see numbers above 200 AQ, adversity quotient. So when you're being challenged, what is the frequency? What is the emotion that gets activated? And in his case, it's 400. That is very rare. Like out of thousands of people we've read, maybe less than 20 that we've seen that are at least this number.
20%, yes.
I think 20, just 20, number 20. I mean, it's not something we see often. It's so rare. Now we'll go into percentages.
Percentages. It is because you could be experiencing all sorts of emotions. And so we can say that the first section of the report, the one that Elena just revealed, is more about quality in a way. And we're going to quantity, if we can put it that way somehow. When the first category is indie joy, as of how much the person is enjoying the role that they're currently playing in this reality. And for Barron Trump, from 1 to up to 100%, 100 being the maximum, is 87%. Now, in the ego, is 95%. And we know that the ego is just your belief system, and it's just information. It's not good or bad, negative or positive. Now, it depends on your level of awareness as of how you incorporate or apply that into your, or integrate that into your life, right? And what information you decide to integrate and exercise. And all depends on your experience, what you want to experience. So it's not good or bad, it's your decision. But in his case, he relies 95% on his belief system, which is very common for being only 18 years of age. You know, they're accumulating information, and until they feel comfortable enough and gain enough experience and awareness, now he realizes, oh, I can just really create my own reality, right? And now I'm going to be even more picky when it comes to what information I want to activate or incorporate in my life. Now, within the ego, we have two types of versions of ego, or types of thoughts. The inferior version of the ego and the superior version of the ego. And his case is 83% of that 95% in the ego is for the inferior version of the ego, right? Which is also very common because of how young he is.
But I would say it's unusual because usually, most people we test are in the 90s for the inferior. So it's quite unusual that it's in the 80s for him.
Based on his numbers, pairing it and looking at the rest of the numbers is not unusual. But when you compare it to the overall population and the
it's unusual.
Thousands and thousands of people that we have read in the past at least 5 years, yes, it is unusual, right? Now, in the superior will be 7%, which is the difference, 83 minus 100. So 7%.
17%.
17% in the superior. And that means that those are the thoughts to where he feels that, okay, I know and this is how it is and no one can change my mind, right? It could be, depending on the rest of the numbers, having too high of a number in the superior version of the ego, which is not his case, but if the person were to have high numbers in the superior version of the ego, then, and especially lower numbers as the overall frequency, that could represent a totally different inner dialogue, right? For the person, for the individual, that will shift the personality traits that we can identify with the reading. Now, in the now, how much time he spends in the now, in the present moment, or just fully present, where now he's not being pulled by past experiences or taking himself into the future, and either case activating resistance, right, is at 91%, which is definitely higher than average, especially for his age.
Yes.
Now we go into integrity. This is how loyal and faithful he is to his truth, to his belief system, right? For the information that he has compiled from birth up to now. He has I would say, stamped as his, part of his etheric library. It is 99%.
It's very unusual.
Now, integrity to himself is 98%, and integrity to others or with others is 99%. So more than likely, whatever he says is as he says it is, and you're going to find without a doubt that if he says ABC, it's ABC. There's no A minus, and maybe it's a B plus, or maybe it's a C minus. It's ABC. When he's sharing his thoughts or his ideas. Now we go into Self-awareness. Self-awareness is at 94%. Clarity, 96%.
So unusual too. It's numbers of somebody who's master.
Who's mastering the level that he's currently experiencing. Yes, just to specify. Now we go into alignment with divine purpose. It is 97%.
It's unusual for a young person.
This is definitely a very unusual case, we have to admit. Most young people, especially at the age of 18, have total different numbers when it comes to their alignment with the divine purpose, because they're just
I'd say most adults don't even have those numbers, you know?
Many adults don't, exactly. Now, aligning with personal purpose is 69%. Well, the difference between the two is aligning with divine purpose is how well you're playing the divine role you decided to play before you dropped into this reality, let's say. Let's put it
walking your soul's divine blueprint, connecting to your soul's divine blueprint.
When you're aligned with your soul's purpose, right? Now, alignment with personal purpose signifies you're aligning with the persona self, with the things you want to experience, that you have experienced, your sense of fulfillment, and the things that you are thinking, contemplating of doing or experiencing. So at 69%, of course, he's very young, and he's got, who knows, he's discovering what to experience. Or
he has goals and visions of what he wants, so it makes sense where he's at.
Now, compassion is 100%. And compassion to others or with others, because you could be compassionate toward yourself, right? You have managed to understand and learn that how to show compassion towards yourself. But then there's another step that it is to reflect it onto others. And for that, you have to have a well-balanced inner dialogue, right? So just to be open and vulnerable enough to reflect the same toward others. In his case, compassionate to others at 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, 100%. That means he's fully embodying the level of consciousness of 400. That's what he's currently experiencing. And he's ready to experience a higher level of consciousness, right? And of course, he's already experiencing higher levels than what he experienced at incarnation point, which is under the clairvoyance, is at 800, claircognizance 950. So if I were to speak with him live, and he asked us, how can I expedite the process of experiencing high levels of consciousness in this reality? By looking at his chart, I would recommend to describe what it feels like to experience the 950 under claircognizance, 950 under social quotient, and the 800 clairvoyance, but more focusing on the 950 per se, right? And being very clear and detail-oriented, expended as much as possible to bathe in that energy. So then he will then establish a very clear point of reference of what it feels like to be there. And it will be a much easier for him to discern what keeps him there and what takes him away from that feeling. So he can easily replicate that feeling throughout his chart and release resistance when it comes to the other categories that are lower frequency. That is if he feels like it. He doesn't have to do anything, of course, right? It is perfect for everyone, whatever someone is experiencing at the moment. When it comes to all of your frequencies and percentages, is just perfect as is, because without a doubt, everyone has gone through the Phoenix rising experience, so the hero's journey, and has been experiencing lower frequencies throughout their lives at different points. We have pinpoint that when we do the lifetime frequency analysis. And it is just mind-blowing to find and see how much we go through and what triggers or serves as a catalyst to bump us or catapult us into a higher level of consciousness and release the resistance and experience higher level of consciousness. So therefore, anyone that is willing to explore themselves and to learn about themselves and know that whatever it is that is taking place at the moment, it is just perfect as is. And when you see it like that, is easier to release the resistance, and it's easier to expedite the personal growth or the expansion, right? So in his case, that's what I would recommend. Focus on the 915, become extremely familiar with it. Now, when it comes to the fifth dimension, we measured how much time he's experiencing the fifth dimension. In his case, is 93% of the time. This includes
so unusual.
Yeah, dream state as well,
Yes.
of course, right? Like it happens for everyone, because that's the
Mhm.
moment to where we experience a soul healing.
Yes. I just thought about that, his mom, Melania, which, for those of you who are parents, your kids are your treasures. She's always been very protective of him. And I think she's done a great job with protecting him, because he's also a highly sensitive person.
Mhm.
And I'm sure he is such a treasure, and a gift to all that come to know him and his family. So it's been a beautiful individual for us to dive into and explore. He's 18 years old, so we wish him all the best. I'm sure he'll bring a lot of wonderful things to many people around the world.
Yes, yes. And as always, we have no idea what we're diving into.
Yes.
And as the measurements unfold and the numbers are being revealed to us, that's when we start to connecting the dots, and we're able to actually describe what we see, but we have no idea what is about to unfold, and it's just, it is without a doubt, every experience is unique and beautiful at the same time.
Yes, but also knowing like the young generations that are being born right now, they're requiring, I would say, different kind of parenting. So as a parent, it is our responsibility to allow our children to be expressive, to be creative. And as a parent, it's important for us to support their journey, be open-minded, open-hearted, because what worked for you as a child might no longer be working for the children that you have today. So keep an
Yes.
open mind, open heart, love your kids as much as possible. They grow up too fast. I know my kids are growing up too fast.
Yes, and in many cases,
Yeah.
even the things that we recognized at this point that didn't work well for us, somehow we tend to repeat them, or
Yes, don't do that.
incorporate that just because of for the sake of tradition and culture. And really, as they are showing us worldwide, some take it to the extreme, of course, to show their discontent, that they're not in alignment with that. But we have to pay attention now more than ever, for our own sake, number
Yeah.
one, right? To experience a greater feeling and to achieve the full alignment with our divine purpose. I think that is the bottom line. That we must pay attention. We must pay attention and realize that everyone is being divinely guided, and everyone is playing an important role. And therefore, we have to pay attention if we really want them to flourish and be who they ought to be. We have to pay attention so we know exactly how to support them well and detach from
But I will say love is the most important ingredient.
past things.
Love as
Exactly.
much as possible. Hug as
Yes.
much as possible.
Yes.
And tell them they're the greatest thing that ever happened to you. And they truly are. So I don't know, that's
Like,
what I always tell my kids.
yes. Yeah, she tells me that too often.
All right. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Until next time, we hope to see you in the Vibrational Revelations membership platform. And please share, like, comment, give us suggestions on the episodes that you are interested in and the revelations you'd like to hear from us. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.